I knew that my mom couldn't support me and my kids and stuff forever. And it allowed me to be vulnerable with her in times that I'd never been vulnerable with her before, and say, you know, Mom, I don't know what to do. Like, where do I go from here? And trying to find work and going through that process of saying, well, I thought I had a job and now I don't. I have to start all over, and I'm new to the country, and I know it's like America to Canada, but there's still that, well, where's your work history and all of that, and it was really difficult to try and climb back up. And I had done a couple acting gigs, but it was going to auditions, and you know, I was at the point where you look through the couch cushions to find some change.
Yes.
And you're like, kids, I found a toonie, let's go to McDonald's.
Yes.
Right? Like, we're going out to eat tonight, you know?
Welcome everyone to another episode of Meta Transitions. Today we have with us David Fisher. He is a public speaker and leadership coach. We look forward to hearing so much from you, David.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. It's really exciting.
Yes. Yeah. All right. So David,
yes.
As you know, our channel is about life transitions. What can you share about life transitions and maybe some stuff you went through?
Oh my gosh, there's so much. But I'll stay focused.
Yes.
Yeah. I grew up, I'm Canadian, but I grew up in the States, and got involved. I had sort of a middle class life. I was working for a company. I was involved in acting. I'd done stage acting. I'd even gotten into the Screen Actors Guild for film. I was in the astronomy club, like all these things, and moved my mom up to Canada, to Vancouver, after she retired.
Yes.
And it felt like home. Like it was finally time to come back to Canada. So family comes back to Canada. I had a job lined up here that was supposed to be good wages, support my pursuit of an acting career, which is one of the things that I wanted to do.
Yes.
And moved up here, and the job fell through.
Oh, man.
And there was nothing else, and started that transition of thinking that your life is going in one way. Right, and it flips upside down in like a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And what would I do? I lost my car. I lost my investments. I just everything. The only reason I wasn't homeless is my mom paid my rent.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
So, thanks, Mom, but not something that I think in losing everything, the biggest thing I lost was my confidence.
Yeah.
Because in spite of everything that I had in Colorado, it was gone, and I never thought that I would get it back.
Okay, so I think what I'm hearing there is that sense of hitting rock bottom.
Yeah. Totally.
And, you know, needing to figure out, okay, how do I get back up sort of thing, right? So that sense of confidence is gone, you know, but it sounds like you had some support, at least from your parents or from your family, where you were able to say, okay, I recognize I'm down here, sort of thing. And, you know, it sounds like the only place to go is to go up.
Yeah, so. either stay there or go up, right? And it was, I didn't know if I could go up. I knew that my mom couldn't support me and my kids and stuff forever. And it allowed me to be vulnerable with her in times that I'd never been vulnerable with her before, and saying, you know, Mom, I don't know what to do. Like, where do I go from here? And trying to find work and going through that process of saying, well, I thought I had a job and now I don't. I have to start all over, and I'm new to the country, and I know it's like America to Canada, but there's still that, well, where's your work history and all of that, and it was really difficult to try and climb back up. And I had done a couple acting gigs, but it was going to auditions, and you know, I was at the point where you look through the couch cushions to find some change.
Yes.
And you're like, kids, I found a toonie, let's go to McDonald's.
Yes.
Right? Like, we're going out to eat tonight, you know? And I was walking by, it was along Broadway, and I was walking by a homeless guy. And I thought, that's me, right? That's my future. And I don't know what it was, but something in me really kind of said, nobody else is coming to rescue you. I kept kind of living that blame, which I'm sure you understand, or your listeners understand. It wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault that the company or the organization restructured and my position didn't exist anymore. I didn't do anything wrong. Why is this happening to me? But I realized that didn't matter, because I still had to make the choice to make the change. and figure out what I wanted to do and pull myself up. Obviously, there was help along the way with Mom. I wouldn't have been able to do it. I'd met an entrepreneur who didn't know the depth of my troubles, my financial troubles, but just hanging around him and the attitude that he had and some of his business partners and the way they sort of saw the world as a challenge to overcome and not sort of, they were taking life and making choices rather than having life happen to them. And I think that kind of wore off on me a little bit.
Okay.
And I started to realize I have to make different choices. In spite of whose fault it was, I need to do something different or I'm going to be stuck here.
Okay. So that sense of, you had to take stock of where you were, how you would get there and sort of taking some ownership and responsibility for sort of your choices and actions. But before you got to that place, it sounds like you were in sort of that victim mindset. That idea that, okay, how dare they not have this job lined up for me? Like it's their fault that I'm where I am. And I think a lot of individuals fall into sort of that trap, as you said, sort of stuck in that place. And, a lot of times it takes sort of facing the reality, like it sounds like you did, to be able to say, okay, if I don't, tie my shoelace up, I'm going to be like this person that's on the street. You're like maybe, $2 away.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Totally. Yeah. $2 away. I'd like that. I might steal that.
Sure.
$2 away. Absolutely. And I know that, and I see it when I talk and I work with other people and it's a business that says it's the economy, it's the stock market. Now it's, a pandemic and you're right. None of that can be your fault. You didn't cause the stock market to crash. You didn't cause the economy to go bad. It's his fault. It's her fault. It's their fault. But life happens to us anyway. Yeah. And that was just for me, it was a huge wake up call to say, it doesn't matter what gets thrown at me. I can either stay here and $2 away, or what choices can I make to start to change the way I see the world and the way I see my life. And I didn't even know where to start. I started on YouTube. Like, if 7 years ago, I would have found your TV show and been like, I'm watching this thing. Yeah. So I just started Googling things like motivational speakers and overcoming obstacles and stuff. And I would just watch video and watch video. And it's like Tony Robbins and Oprah and all of these people. I would just weep. Like my full-time job for literally weeks was just me watching that. I do an audition or I'd have a job interview and then I'm like, well, now what do I do? Yeah. And so I would just start watching and start to reframe the way I saw the world. And little by little, things began to change. I'm like, oh yeah, I can start working out again. Can't afford the gym, I can go to the park. Right? Yeah. I start to learn how to meditate. I start to refocus, start to get my confidence back. And so that was a huge part of it that opened up the door to join things like Toastmasters or other groups that I can be a part of to say, there's people that think like the way I want to think. And if I'm around them enough, that rubs off on me. And then I'm not stuck telling my own story. Yeah.
Okay. So if I hear you correctly, there is that place where you're like, okay, I need to do something, but I don't know what I need to do, right? So that acknowledgement that you need to do something, but recognizing that you don't have those skills or those tools to be able to do it. And you're like, okay, how can I do this? And it sounds like your sense of resourcefulness kicked in and was like, okay, I can go research. I can go look it up. And YouTube came to your rescue.
Yeah, totally.
And, like it's come to so many individuals' rescues, that idea of self-help videos or even self-help books, resources, whatever it was, it sounds like you were able to tap into that and try to figure out, okay, how can you motivate yourself, encourage yourself to be able to figure out what you need to do. And it sounds like you took away, a few things that you could use that would help to uplift you, to be able to direct you into the right path that you needed to take. And it sounds like you said, you had to change sort of that negative way of looking at yourself, or even, talking about yourself in a negative way, and started to be a bit more positive. Start thinking about, okay, what can you change in your life that will help you to get to where you need to go? And that could be, doing exercises in the park, meditating to help you to be in the present, right? So these are all great tips. And it sounds like it helped you to get you to where you are now.
Yeah, totally. And after that kind of kicks in, then it's like, okay, what is the opportunity? What is there for me? And I got involved in a business that was mostly marketing. Mm-hmm. And one of my business partners and mentors said, you have to love what you do. If you don't love what you do, then you're not going to succeed. Yeah. And he was trying to motivate me. This is when I'm kind of starting to climb out of things. Things are starting to look better. I'm getting the confidence back. Mm-hmm. My income level is starting to creep back a little bit. You know, I don't have to look through couch cushions anymore to find transit or food for French fries. And so when I got off the phone, though, I thought, I don't love this. Mm-hmm. So what is it that I love? And so, thanks for motivating me, even though I then ended up quitting the business. But I thought, well, what is it I want to do? And I thought, well, I can't go back to school and be an astronaut, though that would be cool. I'm too old to be a baseball player, right? That'd be cool, right? Would be cool. I'm wearing space socks, so. But and so I thought, well, what have I done? I've done acting, but that wasn't feeding me and my passion anymore in a desire to reach the world, to kind of share what I've learned and what I've built and what I went to school for and all of these things. Mm-hmm. And that was public speaking. Yeah. And so I started a public speaking business, and ever since then it's been growing and shifting and changing, and that's part of it is take action, and then kind of figure it out as you go. And so I didn't know what that public speaking business would look like when I started. All I know is that I had experience doing it, and I had experience teaching other people doing it. Yeah. Let's just start with that and see where it goes. And then over the last few years, that's been growing for me.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
Going from the place of, having a job, doing acting, and then recognizing all of a sudden that is all taken away, and you're at this rock bottom place, having to pull yourself up, literally, from mentors like, as you said, Oprah and a few others, right? Tony Robbins, and, getting to this place of finding what your purpose is. And needing to figure out, and it sounds like you're saying, it's important to, recognize why you're here, and what you need to do what are you going to do to contribute to the world. And it sounds like you had to do some soul searching to get to that place. That once you did get to that place, you were happy about it, and you were able to create something from that. And
it's suddenly it's not work. You're right. It's purpose, and I'm sure like what inspires you to do this is got to be purpose, and you're not thinking, oh, I have to get up and interview somebody today again. It's like, oh, I'm excited. I get to hear somebody else's story today, right? Yeah. And for me, it's kind of the same way, where I wake up and say, okay, what's good that's going to happen today? What doors are going to open for me today? And we all have days where it's like you're excited, and other days you just want to stay in bed, and that's okay.
Definitely.
Yeah, right. Totally. And some days it's okay to stay in bed. Just don't make that a habit, right? Yes. And so it's like, okay, today I need a rest day. Today I need to back off. But tomorrow, then I'm ready to go. Here's what I'm going to do, and take those little steps every single day to move forward in what your goals are. And so in started out with teaching public speaking and doing communication. Now that's evolved into more leadership training and storytelling to create deeper connections with businesses, or with businesses to customers, or with people on a personal level. Like, how can you create, through telling your story and being vulnerable, how can you create that deeper connection that influences and impacts the world in a bigger way? And so for companies that care about the world, for organizations that care about the world, how can they share their message and let that spread? How do you create fans, even if the business transaction doesn't take place? How do you treat that person where they leave and go, wow, that guy or that girl was really awesome, right? And so it goes beyond just that transaction. It becomes a personal, deeper connection. And so that's really sort of what I've started to dive into in my training and my speaking and things. And it's not, when I was almost homeless, it was all about me. Somebody can come rescue me. Why is this happening to me? And now it's not about me anymore. It's about the people. It's about, the people who watch your videos, the people that you work with. Like, it's about them, and that's what motivates it. It's about the other person.
Man, like, it's so inspirational. It's sort of hearing you talk about that transition, from it all being about you to it now being about, okay, I recognize what I can contribute to another person's life. And now it's not about you, it's about them or other individuals who would benefit, from, the gift that you have for the world. And, it's just so inspirational. I'm hearing sort of also information that I've learned along the way too.
Yeah.
And the idea that, as a counselor, first you need to sort of create sort of this relationship with a client, to, I guess, break down maybe walls so you can let yourself in, let the person in so they can share, what's going on for them. And it sounds like you're talking about this idea of creating a relationship with your clients or with businesses or individuals out there so they can then find out what their purpose is or how they can share what they need to share with the world as well. So it's great work.
Thank you. And a huge part of that is asking the right questions, but then being able to listen, which obviously you have to be good at, right? What you do is that you have to be able to really listen, and not just what's being said, but what's not being said. And so on a personal level and even a business level, it's to really kind of dive into the underlying needs and mission and values of that business or that person, or whatever that might look like. And lots of times it's a little thing that can make a big difference. Sure. And so you were talking a little bit earlier before we were on camera about just public speaking and like the fear of public speaking.
Yes.
And one of the little things that I teach is, rather than telling yourself the story of, oh my gosh, I'm afraid, I clam up, what if people are going to judge me, what if they don't like me, what if I fall on my face, what if I fall on the floor, what if I get tongue-tied, what if knowing that everybody there is cheering for you, they want you to succeed, and also knowing that you can change that thought to say, you almost trick your brain to say, I'm not afraid, I'm excited.
Wow.
Because fear and excitement.
I'm going to try that. I really am, guys. I really am going to try that because, man, it gets me all the time. Like, really? I go up on the stage, David, and I just see the people and I'm just like shivering.
Oh, wow,
like if I touch the podium, it will shake.
Right, yeah, totally.
Right? So if I hear you correctly, just sort of, think about changing the fear to joy, maybe.
Yeah,
or feeling a sense of enjoyment rather than sort of the fear, sort of tricking your brain into saying this is going to be a positive experience.
Totally. There's people who love skydiving and there's people who are terrified, but if you're in the plane and ready to jump out of a plane, the physical reaction is the heart beating, the high blood pressure, and somebody else, you could say, I'm excited, and I could say, I'm terrified. But physically, we're feeling something very similar. But the stories in our brain are two different things. Where you're going, this is amazing, and I'm like, I'm going to die. Right? So the idea for public speaking is then to tell yourself, and I've even had clients write it down. What are you afraid of? And now, what are you excited about? This is my opportunity to share a story to a lot of people. This is my opportunity to connect. It's my opportunity to grow, to do something I used to be afraid of, but now I'm excited about. And it doesn't happen overnight, but it starts to trick your brain to go, oh yeah, I'm not afraid, I'm excited. And I've told myself before, because I still get afraid of public speaking too. It's normal. Like everybody's staring at you, and it can be scary. I've had to actually audibly tell myself, like, go into the bathroom and go, okay, I'm not afraid, I'm excited. Here's why I'm excited. And then whatever event that is, you can give your reasons about why you're excited. And then think of those things, and then when you come on stage, you tend to be more focused. Because when we're afraid, we either freeze or we want to run away. But if we're excited, then we want to engage. And then that's when that connection starts to take place with the audience, because we're using that energy, but we're using it and focusing it on the audience, not on our words or our message, because we should know that. And you mentioned you rehearse a lot. That's a good thing, because now you can focus on the audience and not on your words, and the message will just come out. And if you stumble, big deal. They're still engaged. Just keep going. You're all right. If you forget what you're going to say, I've had that happen. I'll be like, sorry guys, forgot what I was going to say. Hold on a second, right? Go grab a drink and then be like, got it. Okay, thanks for bearing with me, right? Totally okay. Thanks for
validating that, Feels good to know that I was at least doing one thing right, The practicing is good.
It is.
And also sort of, that idea of refocusing, reshifting, and changing the narrative, right? From again negative to positive, and switching sort of that negative self-talk to positive self-talk by, you know, giving yourself affirmations. And these are things I share with my clients too, David. Yeah. So, you know, there's overlap there in the sense of, you know, that idea of motivating yourself, encouraging yourself with positive things. So catching it, you know, recognizing that, okay, I can't go down this negative spiral, right? And going to a quiet place, like you said, the bathroom, and sort of switching that narrative into something more positive and telling yourself, no, this is why I'm here. This is what I need to do.
Exactly.
And it, as you said, changes that fear response in the body to being like, okay, I can be pumped and excited about this.
Absolutely.
I see how that could work.
It does. It really does work. And I did a course in psychological first aid through Johns Hopkins University, and it's about taking people who are going through a trauma, like the fires that are happening now, and how do you know, it's not counseling, it's just how to kind of immediately snap them out of whatever spiral they're in, and then if they need counseling, then go get long-term counseling. But part of that is that reframe. Yes, it's absolutely horrible that this happened, but if they stay in this negative spiral, it's going to be really hard to get out of, to just take a step back and go, okay, you know, even if it's just, okay, I'm still alive, right? Yes. I'm going to take a breath, right? And let's reassess, you know, what is my next step? And my next step is not going down. My next step is to look out and to reach out to maybe somebody like you who's trained in actually counseling. And so that reframing is so important in how we talk to ourselves and the stories we tell ourselves. And our way back when we were still living in tribes, we had to be afraid because we didn't know if it was another tribe that would come take our stuff, or if it was a wild animal that was going to, you know, eat or be eaten kind of thing. And so there was always that sense of fear. But now, relatively speaking, we don't have to live in that state anymore. And because of that, then we just have to retrain our brain, because we tend to go toward the negative, but we can tell ourselves a different story and go toward the positive. And it takes work, which I'm finding, you know, I still go there. I still get negative. So.
I do it too, man. I think we're all guilty of this. It's like as you said, it's sort of a natural evolution, right? We had to go through these changes, you know, and stages where we came from primitive time where we had to, you know, we're in survival mode, really. Right? And now it's sort of like there's still sort of that sense of feeling like you need to be in survival mode to be able to get through life. But recognizing, like you said, that idea of trying to remain in the present, that idea of, you know, encouraging yourself and being more positive, reframing, those are all great ideas and ways to help to get out of that survival mode and get into that empowerment mode.
Yeah, it was good. I like that. Ooh, survival mode to empowerment mode. Yeah, good one. Yeah, it's good. It's good. I mean, survival mode is needed for that moment, but then afterwards we can't stay there. Which is what I was in survival mode, and I was stuck there. I was stuck in survival mode, going, oh, I hope I hope mom pays rent on time, right? You know, rather than saying, what can I do? How can I see the world differently? Who can I meet? Who can I learn from? Not just, who can I meet? Can I meet somebody who's really wealthy that can just give me $100,000 and all will be well? Like I kept waiting, I kept fantasizing for that to happen. Of course, that doesn't happen. So what happens, and what do I have to do? To reframe and take that step? And it's a long journey. It took years, you know, 3 or 4 years for me to finally kind of go, okay, I kind of feel like I'm back where I was, but then learning that that's not satisfying for me. Where before in Colorado, I was satisfied. I was okay, right? And good can be the enemy of great. And I was good, and then I was bad, and then I went back to good, but then I was no longer satisfied because I wanted to be something. I wanted to do something beyond that. I wanted to do something and help and touch people more, even if it's just one person at a time, even if it's just the barista, which now is putting their life on the line to give you a latte. How much more can we make a deeper connection with them, other than just, I'll have an Americano and walk away, but to say, how are you today? How are things going? You know, and create that connection. If they don't respond, that's okay. But take a little extra energy, because if they respond, then you create that little bit of a connection. And then that barista maybe serves that next person, and there's a little bit more spring in their step because you made a genuine connection with them. And that's why I don't always do it, but that's kind of the way I want to see every day. Whoever I meet, I want to sort of create that little bit of a connection so that I know when they leave, their world is a little bit brighter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, that's so great. Like, I
Thank
do
you.
remember you doing that with me one day.
Yes.
I do remember that. And
Yes.
I actually, did feel more encouraged and lighter after that encounter. So yes, it does work, people. It does work.
It does. There is, I think Simon Sinek says it, there's an emotional cost to do it. Mm-hmm. It takes emotion to be able to give to somebody. And especially if they don't reciprocate, you don't get that energy back. Mm-hmm. But it's worth it, because what's the alternative? Then we all just walk around like zombies all day. So, that's no fun.
This is true.
Yeah, so I had a life coach who was like, I don't want to live like a zombie. I'm like, neither do I. So yeah, totally.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So we've talked so far,
yes.
About your journey and how you got to this place, and you've shared so many tips. If you could summarize, sort of the tips that you've shared so far, with our audience, so they get something to walk away with.
Yeah.
What would you, say to someone who maybe is at your rock bottom where you were at that time? How can they, figure out a way to move forward? What do you think would be their next step?
I think that's a really, really good question, and I know everybody's a little bit different, but I think that the baseline is, number one, whether it's your fault or not, spending your energy blaming the circumstance or somebody else doesn't do you any good. Mm-hmm. It doesn't change anything except for it keeps you where you're at.
Yeah.
And so to change that and say, okay, fine, even if it's not my fault, what can I do to change myself so that I'm not in this situation? And there's a little bit of resolve. You're going to have to kind of let some things go. And there's a little bit of okay, this might be a long journey, but you know what? It's better than the alternative, which is staying here. And I think that's huge first step. Second step, I had to, for me, not only start to surround myself with people that thought differently, that didn't blame others, that saw things as challenges, but I also had to be careful what I watched on TV. What kind of music did I listen to? What was influencing me? How much news was I reading? Like, all of those things are neither good nor bad, but if they suck you into this spiral, then you have to say, okay, I can't listen to this music anymore. I need to find some motivational music.
Yes.
I can't watch the news anymore. Okay, maybe I'll just scan the headlines and be like, okay, I'm done. That's it. Maybe you need to take a break from those types of things that are influencing you. So no blame. Surround your thoughts with positivity, whether it's people or media or whatever it might be, like this show. And then, I know it's a cliche, and it's such a cliche, but it's don't give up. Yeah. It seems like my mantra lately has been, whatever decision you make is the right one. If you make those decisions consciously to say, I'm going to get better, I'm not going to blame others, I'm going to surround myself with the right people. Maybe you make a choice and you go to an organization and you're like, oh, these are not the right people. It's not a wrong choice. It just means and now you make another choice. Yeah. And you keep making choices and you keep moving forward, and you celebrate those little victories, because eventually you look back and go, oh my gosh, 7 years ago I was almost homeless. Look how far I've come. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And then realize, because when you start to see those little steps of hope, then you go, oh my gosh, I've gone from here to here. There's nothing to prevent me from going to here, to here, to here, to here. And it's almost like an exponential growth, because you start to see where you've come from. Yes. And now you have the confidence to know where you're going. And you might change. My business has shifted a few times over the last 4 years before I kind of landed on what I really felt my purpose. And I know that my purpose for now is this. 5 years, it might be different. But if you keep moving forward, you keep getting the confidence. It's so hard, because it is like rolling that boulder up the hill. When you first start, you get this boulder and you're like,
so tough.
I can't do it. But if you do it and find others to help you, you get there. Yeah.
Wonderful. Right? Yeah. Thank you for sharing, David, and coming and greeting our audience. We'd love to have you come back if you want
I'd love to. Yeah, it'd be my pleasure. This is great. You're
Yeah.
warm and you're welcoming, and such a great environment to just have a wonderful, deep, vulnerable, honest conversation. That's great.
Yes.
You're very, very good.
All right. So, David, thank you so much for sharing with
pleasure.
us.
My
How
pleasure.
can our viewers contact you? If they want to be able to get some coaching lessons on public speaking, how can they reach out to you?
Yeah, really good question. Davidfish.ca kind of gets me to everything. So just my name, David, last name is Fisher, so it's just fish, like swims in the ocean. Davidfish.ca. That's Instagram. It's LinkedIn, which I use a lot. Facebook, as well as my website, which is davidfish.ca. And then, yeah, feel free to reach out. I'm going to try and put up a lot more content as far as value-added stuff that you guys can use for yourselves. And then, I would love your feedback and any questions or anything that you have. I'm happy to help.
All right, great. Well, thanks for coming.
My pleasure.
All right.
Happy to be here.
Yes. And that's it, guys. Take care.